Good morning, everybody. So it is now a new reading vlog, and first of all, please ignore the hair. I literally just came out of the shower. I was gonna film later or start this reading vlog later, but then I realized that if I don't start this now, I don't know when I'll actually start this. And this reading vlog, first of all, is going to be a mismatch of a ton of different things. First of all, there's the 8 and 2 readathon that's going on this weekend, and I already read almost an hour, so I wanted to start this before I read like 2 or 3 hours, and I'm like, if I didn't actually record this, did it actually happen, guys? So I wanted to start this reading vlog right now when I just haven't gone to an hour yet. I mean, according to my stopwatch here, it says I have read 59 minutes 19 seconds and 59 millisecond. Can you guys even see that? So that's kind of my stopwatch for now, and so I wanted to start this reading vlog before I get too far. But in lieu of that, I have a few books I want to read, and also because this reading vlog is supposed to be, so originally my initial plan for this reading vlog, because I usually plan out my reading vlogs because I'm a planner, guys. And my initial reasoning for this reading vlog was to do like a badass woman's thing because it's March, it's Women's Month, and so I figured it would be good to kind of like read some books that showcase really badass females. And so I had gone on Twitter as well as Instagram to find out 2 or 3 books for me to read, but then I also realized that I have this book club thing tomorrow and I haven't actually finished this book, so I want to read that book first. But thankfully, this book does feature a somewhat badass female character, like lead as well, so I figured this would kind of count. So honestly, this reading vlog is going to be kind of a mess in terms of my readathon. I'm going to keep track of that, as well as try to read books that focus on badass females. And anyways, let me just go on and tell you which books I'm planning to read for this weekend. So the first book I'm trying to read is this book right here, Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I'm currently on page 358. If it'll ever focus. Yeah, so that's the page I'm currently on right now. I'm really liking it a lot, and it definitely features a somewhat of a badass female. It's a book about Spencer, and it's about like flight and space. It's a sci-fi novel, by the way, and I've heard really good things about it, and so far I'm really enjoying it. It's really easy for me to get into, so that's the first book that I really want to finish. I will talk more about that later. The next 2 books that I want to finish is this book as well as this book here. These are the 2 books that won my Instagram and Twitter polls. I believe this one won on Twitter and then this one went on Instagram. I will double check this and I'll somehow show an image here for you guys if I can find it. But this is a historical fiction. It follows a girl, something about, it's set in World War II, I believe, and it follows the fact that there's a girl, she does her runs, whatever, deliveries, and then she somehow gets wrapped up in this mystery of this missing Jewish girl. And it's kind of about that. It's supposed to be based on a true story, if I believe, so that's the reason why I had picked this one. And then this book, Daughter of a Queen by Sarah Bird, is another one that won, and this one's also based on a true story. I believe this one is based on the real life story of Kathy Williams. She's the first woman to serve in the peacetime US military. So I am curious about this one as well, and I've heard good things about this book. I've heard good things about both of these books, to be honest. So these are the 2 books I'm hoping to pick up. I believe they're both historical fiction. I mean, especially since they're both based on people, a woman in history. So these definitely fit the criteria of like badass woman. This one, yes, in a way, because the character is badass and the way that she's very courageous, but at the same time, she's definitely, like in the beginning, I was a little bit, I don't know about her because she seems very immature, but at the same time, I kind of understand where she's coming from. Like, she has this stigma like, held against her, and she's trying to do her best to overcome that. And so she overcompensates by being aggressive, by being super rebellious, by being like a hotshot, being super intense with her wordings, etc. So I don't know, this one kind of fits, but I mean, she's definitely a strong female lead, don't get me wrong, she's definitely strong, but yeah, we'll see. Oh, also the readathon, I don't know if I mentioned this already. Basically, you're supposed to read 8 hours in 2 days, so over the weekend. I already read almost 1 hour, so I have 7 more to go. I'm really hoping to get a lot done, to be honest, because I do have some things I need to do this weekend. I have to film a video because I need to film a video for tomorrow's video, and I haven't even filmed it yet, so I need to film, edit, and somehow export that by tomorrow, which shouldn't be hard because it's supposed to be a really easy video. It's like a TBR video, so those are usually pretty simple to film. It's just like the act of filming, guys. And then I need to film like my book haul video as well as like a wrap-up / books I read video, which I might do this weekend, I might not do this weekend. We'll see how that goes. Really depends on how busy I am, to be honest. So that being said, I'm gonna go and make some breakfast, hunker down a little bit, and read this book, which I am flying through. Like, I started this book on Thursday, and like I said, I'm already on page like 378, so I'm almost done. Like, I aim to finish this within the next hour, perhaps 2 hours, and hopefully, so far I'm really liking it though, guys. definitely thumbs up on my end. So guys, progress has been made. I just finished reading my first book, Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. So now I'm at 2 hours and 18 minutes. I don't know if my phone will... Okay, yeah, so 2 hours and 18 minutes. So I'm doing a pretty solid job. I will also include my little Bookly app thingy where it tells you my stats. And it says right here that my stats for reading is... Oh, I gave it 5 stars, by the way. 528 pages read. Total reading time was just over 5 hours. Reading speed in pages per hour is 103 pages per hour. Well, I cannot speak right now, but all I can say, guys, this book is so good. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I think this is actually my first Brandon Sanderson book ever, at least from what I remember. I don't remember reading any of his books, and I have to say he has exceeded all of my expectations. The first like 50 so pages or so I was a little bit confused because there's a lot of world building, a lot of like space jargon that I wasn't really getting, but then once I got into the plot and everything, it became so good. Like, this book is just fast-paced all around. I was immediately sucked into the story. I love the characters. There were a lot of love to hate. Well, love to hate is probably kind of strong, but maybe general dislike to like and even respect relationships going on, some more important than others, and I really liked that. I also really liked all the characters. There really weren't any characters I really didn't like. I mean, there's one that I was not really fond of, but at the same time, like, once you understand the reasoning why she was super annoying and like why I didn't really like her, or like where her background is, I start to understand why, like where she's coming from essentially, and I really respect that. And I just like this book so much, guys. This book is so good. Like, there's also this character that I don't want to say anything because spoilers, but I really liked him. Like, his sarcasm was hilarious. Like, even Spencer, the main character, like her sarcasm, like, or not really sarcasm, but her humor, her aggressive like nature, whatever, it's just so intense. Like, it's so good. Like, she's such a strong character. Like, I really like her. Which, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, but this book follows I don't know if I mentioned like the summary of this book, but this book follows a girl. Her name is Spencer, and she and like the rest of the people called Defiance, they grew up in this planet. I forget the planet's name. Like, it's not really mentioned very often and no one really cares. It's not important. But they grew up in this planet for about 3 generations now, almost 100 years. And they will go on these fights, like these skirmishes against these crows, like these alien species. And so Spencer grew up kind of wanting to become a pilot. Her father's a pilot. And then one day they go on to this big battle. Her father goes on this big battle and he becomes branded as a coward. And from that moment on, also he dies, by the way. And from that moment on, she lives her next like I don't know how many years as a like the daughter of a coward, and that stigma has stuck to her this entire time. So she's very much invested in trying to break that stigma against her and that assumption that she too is a coward. So she wants to become a pilot as well, which I mean she wanted to do in the beginning anyways. And so she goes into this cadet academy school basically to become a pilot, and there's just so many obstacles against her in terms of if she even can become a pilot, you know, just going to school, all that stuff, etc. There's a lot of hardships that she goes through just to try to become a pilot and just, you know, go towards her dream. And so the book kind of just follows that, as well as the fact that can she find out what really happened and if her father is really a coward, or if there was some other secret behind it, and like what are the crowds, and like what is the reasoning behind this 100-year war essentially between them and this alien species, etc. So that kind of is the gist of the story. And a lot of the book actually is just a lot of training and kind of just practicing and going against these skirmishes against the crowds, which actually, if you don't like books with a ton of action, then this book might not be for you. But I found it so fascinating, and it's also really fast paced, so I really like that. But anyways, that's it for my update. I'm going to actually start to film a video now, so I will get back to filming and editing, and hopefully I'll get that done as soon as possible. So I just finished filming my video and now I need to go edit it right away, but I thought I'll give you guys an update in terms of which books I want to pick up next, as well as the audiobook I'm currently listening to, because I'm currently listening to the book 2 of the Fifth Wave trilogy, which I'm really liking. Like, it's such an interesting book series, and I watched the movie way back when. I enjoyed it. I don't know why they stopped doing it. I guess many people didn't like it, I don't know, but I really like the book. I finished the first one yesterday, so I'm on the second one right now. But in terms of my physical book, I do want to pick up this one next, Girl in the Blue Coat by Monica Hesse. This one's supposed to be a book that's set in World War II. I believe it's set in Amsterdam. Yeah, Amsterdam in 1943. It follows a girl, and we'll see how this one goes. I'm going to read this one as soon as I finish editing my video, which shouldn't be too long because this video that I just filmed was really short. It's like a TBR, and those usually are not that long unless I'm overly ambitious and try to fit in like 20 books, but it's not one of those. So anyways, I'm gonna get to editing, get to reading, and yeah, we'll see. So I haven't updated you guys in a while, but I haven't been really doing that much reading, to be honest. I'm currently at 3 hours and 55 minutes, and I am reading this lovely book right now. I'm currently on page 99, so I'm about almost 100 pages into this book. I'm liking it a lot. It's really intense. It's also so sad compared to Skyward. I mean, Skyward was just fun, it was action-packed, it was entertaining. This one, on the other hand, is much more serious. It's lots of action as well, but more in a more serious manner, I guess, because literally this book is set in World War II. It's in Amsterdam, and the Nazis, the German soldiers, have basically infiltrated Amsterdam, and there's all these like fear going on between the citizens, and just fear of being discovered either as a Jewish person or just helping someone who's Jewish or anything like that. There's like curfews, but this book is really, really good. It's like I'm flying through because the language is also really easy to understand. It's not at all descriptive, like lyrical or anything like that. It's just like more straight to the point, and I like that kind of writing style. So I'm really enjoying this book. I'm gonna read a little bit more. I think I'm gonna go to the grocery store right now because I don't know why, but I'm in this weird mood for pickles right now. So I'm just gonna go and get some veggies because why not? Like, I had pizza earlier, and that is probably the most junk foody food I've had in a while. So I feel like my body is just like, you need something more, I don't know, light, I guess, maybe. And somehow pickles is what my body is craving right now, and I figured pickles are not bad because they're kind of healthy. So I'm gonna go grab some of that, and yeah, I'm gonna come back home and read a little bit more. Hopefully I can get to like 5 hours tonight. Like, I mean, I really want to do 5 hours, that way tomorrow I don't have to do too much. But yeah, we'll see. So I have now read about 4.5 hours, and I am enjoying this so much. So anyways, proof in terms of the number of hours I read, I guess, if you guys want proof, I don't even know, but here it is, 4.5 hours. And I'm going to try to read for another half hour or so before I go to sleep, because it's already a little past 11 o'clock. But I am flying through this book, or I feel like I'm flying through this book, but not really. I'm currently on page 127, so actually probably not as flying as fast as I would have liked, but I feel like I'm flying through, guys. And I've enjoyed this book so much. It's so intense. It's like the writing style and the characters and the plot is just so well done. It's just like really beautifully written at the same time, and just really engaging. Like, I'm just so curious to find out what's going on, because it's not just a regular historical fiction, it's like a historical mystery, and there's just so many elements that's come into play. And the more the girl, her name is Hanik, the more she digs into like what happened to this girl, like where is this girl, the more I'm just getting confused, like what happened to this girl. Like, I'm just really curious, and I want to know what happened to her, because it's like an actual like good mystery, you know, that's just happens to also be set in this like World War II like war zone, and there's just a lot of elements there that's playing as well. And it's just a really fascinating book, guys. This is the first time I read one of her books before, and I'm really enjoying it. So now I have really high hopes for the second one. Hopefully this book continues to be really good, but I'm about almost halfway through at this point, and yeah, we'll see. So I'm excited for it. I'm going to try to read for another half hour or so, possibly longer, but enjoying this book a lot so far. Came back from brunch, and I wanted to update you guys in terms of my reading. So I'm currently about a little under 7.5 hours, so not too bad, I think, in terms of the hours I read. I only have about half an hour left, if this will ever focus. Yeah, so 7 hours and 21 minutes, and yeah, I'm reading a lot. I ended last night about 5 hours, I want to say, and since this morning I've been doing my thing. I've been reading a little bit. I've also been doing a lot of audiobooks, because also going through running some errands and going grocery shopping, meeting up with a friend for brunch, etc. And I'm going to sit down now for another hour or so to just kind of hopefully finish this book. I'm currently on page 210. So I'm doing a pretty good job actually in terms of this book. I'm really enjoying this book. There's just so many emotions going on, and I'm just constantly fearing, like, well, not fearing, but yes, fearing actually. I'm constantly fearing for everyone's safety in this book. There's also a lot of like tension, a lot of fear, a lot of bravery, also some hope in there as well. And there's just so much stuff that's happening, and I'm just so, like, I don't know, like worried about everyone. And it's just so interesting to see how much Hanik has changed from the beginning to the end, because in the beginning when she first found out this mystery, she wanted nothing to do with it. And now that, gosh, I'm like sweating, and now that time has passed and she's starting to understand, like, know other people, she's starting to realize, like, okay, I mean, she's always known that it was what they were doing was bad, like Nazis and everything, but she never really took that extra step to try to actually actively help out, other than just being like a black market dealer in a way. And it's just really interesting to see her change and her growth throughout this book, and I'm enjoying this book a lot right now. But I'm going to get back to reading, and I shall update you guys later. So guys, it is now after, it's almost 5 o'clock, and I have officially finished 8 hours, so I am done with this readathon. Oh, of course it just decides to like zoom out. 8 hours, just over 8 hours. Actually, I finished about like an hour ago, but honestly, I will spend the next like hour on social media, which is great. And anyways, I did manage to finish this book, so I'll put my little thingy next to me here, but it shows that I gave this book 4 stars. I'm debating between 4 and 4.5 stars. I don't think this is actually a 5-star read for me. According to the Bookly app, it says that total pages read was 320. The total reading time was a little over 2.5 hours, like 2 hours and 40 minutes. Reading speed was 120 pages per hour. So this book just really flew by. Like, to be honest, this book absolutely flew by. I'm so excited that I finished this book. And I do want to say that I think I mentioned earlier about how this book was supposed to be based on like a true story or something, but that's not really the case. I looked at the author's note, etc., and the author mentioned that while it's not based on a specific person, like the main character Hanik is not based on a real person, but a lot of the other characters are actually loosely tied to someone who's like a real life person from back then. And there's a lot of elements in this book that are actually from like important events and like real life events and things that actually happened. So I found that super interesting, like super fascinating. Obviously, I mean, like, other than World War II, like obviously other than that, there's like other elements to this book that were actually based on real events. So that's the part I found fascinating. So definitely recommend this book. Anyways, I think I'm going to continue with my audiobook for a little bit, because I do want to make some lunch. Like, I try to make lunch for the week, so I'm gonna try to do that, make some soup as well. And then yeah, I mean, technically I'm done now for the readathon, but I do want to continue with my reading, because honestly this week, well, tomorrow's gonna be like really busy. I'm gonna be so busy. I'm debating if I want to start this one, to be honest, because this is a big book and I feel like it seems like it's very serious, and Girl in the Blue Coat is obviously a very serious book as well, so I kind of don't want to read it. But like, I knew going into it, like, I mean, I knew both books were gonna be like historical fiction, and you know, they're both gonna be serious, so I don't know, we'll see. I might start it, but I'm gonna think about it after I finish cooking, because it depends on what time I finish cooking, because I have to go to bed early tonight because I have to be up at work at like 6 a.m. tomorrow. Like, I have to be there at 6 a.m., which means I have to wake up at like 4 or 4:30, so not excited for that, guys. So that being said, I'm going to consider how I feel about this book, because if I don't start this book today, then I can just start another book entirely that's on my TBR, because the Magical Readathon starts tomorrow, and all these other books that I want to read from April starts tomorrow as well. So I'm debating if I want to start this one, because if I start this today, I don't think I'll get much of it done. You know what I mean? So I don't know, so much struggles, guys. But anyways, I enjoyed both books I read so far. Both really good books. Like Skyward, I gave 5 stars. This book I gave 4.5 stars. I haven't decided yet, but I will do a recap later, probably end of tomorrow, just to kind of finalize all the books that I did read during this readathon or this weekend, whatever. And yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead with cooking and listening to my audiobook. Hey guys, so it is now Monday evening, and I actually contemplated about doing this recap today or tomorrow, because honestly I'm so exhausted. I've been up since like 5 in the morning, and it is kind of late now, and I'm just dead. Like, my brain cells are pretty much shot right now, but I still want to do a really quick recap, because I told myself if I do it now, I don't have to do it tomorrow when I'm actually editing the video, so I don't feel as stressed. But anyways, let's just get on with the recap. So the 2 books that I read during this weekend is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, as well as Girl in the Blue Coat by Monica Hesse. This book, let's talk about Skyward first, because this book was amazing. This book is definitely a 5-star book. I love the characters, I love the action. I don't want to talk about my favorite character because I think that is a huge spoiler, to be honest, because just the nature of who that character is. And when I read this book from my book club and we were discussing it, we all agreed that this character was by far our favorite. It was so sarcastic. I love the characters dynamic and relationship and banter with Spencer and everyone else. It was just so good. Like, that character was the highlight because it was just, oh, I have no other words, guys. I don't want to say anything else to spoil anything, but I love the action. I love the slow progression in terms of the plot and kind of finding out what really happened to her father and the truth behind the matter and why everyone is calling him a coward, because she truly believes that her father is not a coward. And as time goes by, she finds out all these things and clues as well as a recording, and trying to figure out and piece together what really happened. And I really like that progression because the ending just blew me away. Like, I'm just so shocked because I just never expected it. I mean, once it happened, I was like, okay, this makes sense now, and it answers so many questions, but I just never had once even thought that this would have happened because it was just so unexpected. Like, I just didn't expect it. None of us did. We were all just so shocked by it, and it was just really, really well done. I also love all of the relationships between the characters. I mean, Spencer is very aggressive in some ways, but at the same time, the more you get to know her and the more you kind of see her relationships develop between the other cadets in her class, her relationship with Cobb, who is the instructor, her relationship with her best friend, etc. The more you find out more about those relationships, the more you start to understand her more, as well as the other characters as well. And honestly, those friendships were just and the best part for me, at least, is that one of the girls in my book club I don't think she even likes sci-fi. I think that's what the issue was. She doesn't even like sci-fi, has never read a Brandon Sanderson book. I mean, to be honest, neither have I, but I love sci-fi, so I had pretty high expectations for going in. But she doesn't like sci-fi, has never read a Brandon Sanderson book, and she finished this and was like, oh my god, she's a huge fan of him now, and she has actually gone on to start reading some of his other series. And I'm just like, I'm so proud, guys. Because in a way, like, I kind of made this happen because I voted for this book, you know what I mean, for the book club. So pretty happy about that. But anyways, moving on to Girl in the Blue Coat. So this one is, I gave it 4.5 stars, something like that. This book is very different compared to Skyward. It's a historical fiction. It's set during World War II in Amsterdam. It follows a girl, and she basically is told like a mystery about this girl, this other Jewish girl who had disappeared. And the book just kind of follows the fact that she's trying to find out what happened to this girl and where did she disappear to, like, is she a ghost, what happened to her, etc. And this book was so good as well. It is definitely not as action-packed as Skyward, and I think the characters were not as intense as it was there, which is why I gave it 4.5 stars. But everything else about this book was amazing. I love the emotions that went on. I love the historical elements to it because that just gave it a really fascinating, like, I feel like I just learned a lot because of the historical element. There's stuff about this book that I just never even heard of. Like, obviously I know World War II, I mean, obviously, but a lot of the stuff in terms of some of the underground movements in Amsterdam, in Holland in general, just didn't even know about. So it was really fascinating for me to learn about this in this book, so I was really happy about that. I also really liked how Honey grew from the beginning to the end, which in the beginning she was very hesitant about becoming involved with this mystery. She actually didn't want to be involved at all, but then as she learned more about the situation and she learned to kind of accept, well, not really accept, but she already knew what was right and what was wrong, but as she learned to just take a risk and finding out what really happened, and the more that she gets into it, the more risk she's willing to take. And it was just really fascinating for me to see her character development and her character growth, and I really like that. So overall, I actually had a really good reading weekend because I read 2 awesome books. I didn't finish my audiobook at all, but that's fine. I mean, I'm still like halfway through. I wasn't really focused on my audiobook, to be honest, but I'm enjoying that as well. And overall, I think I did a pretty good job in terms of my 8 and 2 readathons. I actually did 8 hours. I also finished 2 solid books, so pretty happy about that. And yeah, so that's all I have to really say for this readathon. It'll be a very quick recap, but you know, it is what it is. So let me know down below if you have read any of the books I mentioned in this video, if you have, if you liked it or not. If you didn't, let me know why not, and if you did a readathon, let me know how you did. But as always, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe down below, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.